There we go. Hooray! I think I was going before. Mute, unmute, who knows? Okay, well, there we go. Theoretically, it's going. We've had nothing but troubles. Technologically, we can't. I don't know, it's strange. I think out of security measures, they log you out of everything all the time. The Apple has been doing that a lot for us to us lately, but the Windows machines are also now doing it, and it's really a challenge because we have like, you know, common accounts for BGG that we use to be able to log in and do things, and so this is, when it doesn't work, it's always way more complicated than it should be. But it's got to be secure or you're going to have problems. So here we are. It's a little warm here in Southern California. It's been not terrible. We still have the warm days ahead of us, the really warm days. But we've been working on stuff. I have like this darn thing getting tied there. Well, there we go. We are getting prepared for our SDJ coverage. We actually don't have a lot of games to cover because we have played all of the Kenner games. Nikki, it's weird too. Nikki, Dave, and I were the ones that played all of the Kenner games together. We did do, and I have to look and see in our footage, we had filmed Guild of Merchant Explorers 2 years ago, probably a little shorter than 2 years ago because we picked it up at, actually Christoph picked it up at Gen Con and brought it back, and we played it and we really enjoyed it. But what had happened with the filming of them is we were sponsored by GameGenic at that point, and we needed to sleeve the games. And this was Christoph's copy, but we still should have sleeved it. So he left it with us, and we filmed it again. I don't know what I'm listening to here. And then we filmed it with Deborah and Mike, and that was fun. And during the discussion on that one, both Deborah and Mike think that they had gotten shortchanged 10 points when something was completed. And Nikki and I were like well, it was kind of going on a lot. So it is an issue with that game, I think, that you do need to like really make sure that you're taking care of all those things, because they have to be done when you receive them, or you're never going to be able to track whether you got it or not. So that didn't become an episode. So we finally filmed it with Dave, and it worked out. But I am going to look and see what we have footage-wise. We might put 1 or 2 of those out at least, because we have no Kenner games to put out. We've done them all already. And for the SDJs, we actually, none of them have come out. We did, so the nominees are, for the Kenner, it was Ticket to Ride Legacy, Legends of the West, or something like that. And we did that with Dave. Daybreak or E-Mission, and we did that with Dave. That's the one from Matt Leacock and Matteo Manapace. So Matt Leacock's nominated for 2 games this year. And then the third one is Guild of Merchant Explorers, done by Brett J. Gilbert and Matt Dunstan. And then, hey, Amanda, I see you were on there a little bit earlier. I have an email for you. And then, what else happened? So then for the SDJs, it's Sky Team, which Nikki and I have already filmed, because that is probably going to be the debut episode of the return of our Game Night Date Night. And then we have there's a couple ones in contention right now, but because that one's nominated, it's probably going to be the one. The deal was we only filmed 1 game. We only did the basic level one. We didn't want to spoil anything, but now that it's nominated, we just might shoot another, even though it will look different a little bit. Hair probably will be a little different, and stuff like that. That one, we kind of feel like we should do maybe the next level or something like that to reveal it. For Ticket to Ride Legacy, we played the first 3. Now that was what this publisher, as they said, that's as far as they would like us to go, because they didn't want us to spoil the game, because there's only 12 levels. And the first 3 are basically, I mean, there are changes, So we just ended up going with that and doing it with that level. And then, what else do we have? The kids' games, we have none of them. I ordered them already, but it's Taco Kitten Pizza from Blue Orange Games, Junior. So it's a Taco Cat goat cheese pizza for kids, which looks fun. And the Magic Keys from GameWorks. I'm not sure who designed that one. And then Big and Small Gems, which I believe is from, I know it's from Wolfgang Warsch. It's a kid's game. Looks really good. So those are on their way. Hopefully we'll get them soon. But yeah, it's been crazy. So we've just been trying to, you know, Derek has been very busy, and he was nervous about how much effort it was going to take us to do the coverage. Thankfully, it isn't going to be too much. And then we also, you know, Tashi last year, we graduated her to the family games instead of the kids games. Although we'll probably play one game with her of those. But the goal is, because last year I think we did all three of them, all three of the kids games together, and then had everybody over that was going to be a part of the show, the discussion for the SDJs, and then they left. And we didn't really, it was not fun for us to do that. So but we had already decided that she was getting old enough to be not part of the kids games. Even though we will be part of the kids' games. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I am not 100% certain what I'm going to paint. I have, let me cut to the table. I have the blade stuff that I was working on. Oh, that's the starting soon one. Hold on. There we go. And he's actually almost done. The sword is not done, and I probably will do a little bit on the coat, you know, like some highlighting and stuff at some point here. Not 100% sure, but let me zoom in a bit. But I have not been painting. I'm really sad because I love to paint, but I just haven't had the time. And we actually, so the other big project we've got going on, well, we're working on the house, on things that we need to do around the place, but also we are trying to cull games, and that is a truly daunting task. We still have 4,600 games or so in our library. That's not 100% accurate because there's promos in there that are counting as games, but it's still pretty darned high. I bet at least 4,000 games. I'm actually certain it's much, much more. We can't have hundreds of promos, hundreds and hundreds of promos, but we'll see. But we are trying to thin it out. Hey, how you doing? Oh yeah, the glasses are kind of cool. It's Angela, Girly Gamer. Yeah, they're cool. I'm not done with them. I just was like, you know, giving the highlights, and I'll probably do, and I'll probably give them some more highlights to, you know, like this is the reflections and then the highlights. But yeah, they're turning out pretty cool. I've been real happy with them, and excited to work on more. Yeah, 4,600, Angela. You don't have to feel bad when you got a call. It's too many. I mean, I have a pile of games behind me. These are games we have filmed recently, and it's just terrible. We can't. Part of the issue is there's way more games made than we can cover, and we are always excited about something, and then by the time we get to the you know, more new games come along, and then those become a priority and stuff like that. So it's really kind of a challenge. I hope that we tried not to take as many. So we definitely bring games home from the cons, and we've returned a bunch of those. Even the ones we didn't film, we returned a bunch of those for the BGG Con Spring, and I think we brought one back, maybe, of those. But we brought new games, and we are also trying to focus on games that you can buy. Not entirely because, I mean, yeah, yes, we want, they should be available at some point, but lately we have been playing a lot of games that people cannot buy, and we see all the comments on it, And we also know that people just don't watch it until they're hoping to see a game, you know, like they're checking out a game that they already own or something like that. So it's really a challenge. We are definitely, you're calling at the moment and it's hard. Absolutely, it's the worst. We've already made an initial pass and probably pulled 120 games or something like that. Maybe even not quite that much. And box them up, and they're ready to go to the BGG warehouse / library, and we will do more. So those were boxes we purchased when in 2020 we did our live streams from here, you know, and Nikki and I had all the games sent to us, and we probably had the largest collection of Spiel releases that year because we just had quite a bit of stuff sent to us. And so all that stuff was sent to the library when we started to do BGG Con Fall in 2021. I think that's the first one we did. Can't remember if we did spring or not. I don't believe we did. So we sent all those, and Scott ordered a bunch of boxes, and they are just giant. Like, I don't think the boxes weigh more than 65, 70 pounds, but they're huge, and they're very difficult to handle. And we have tight spaces. We have so much stuff. Beyond that, Nikki's crafts and my crafts, I'm not blaming just Nikki, are just everywhere. And that is part of the issue out here in the studio. And so we are trying to get as much of this stuff so that we can do these things as well. Nikki has a lot of stuff that she's trying to work on. And it is just a challenge, like to keep it. So number one, we have to decide when we finish playing a game whether we think we want to keep it. A lot of times we either buy them, most of the time we buy them, sometimes they're sent to us, but when they're done, all of them, we will send them to the library if they're new. And if they're older and we don't need them in the library anymore, they go to the charity sale that we do for Cafe Momentum. It's a pretty great organization, and it helps at-risk youth learn how to have a career. You know, they work for a really high-end restaurant and learn all of the positions, and that's pretty awesome. So we are, we really love. I mean, we went through the sale this last time, Nikki and I, or at least I did. I can't remember if Nikki actually was able. She came in, but I don't think she was looking with me. But we were looking at some of the games that were ours that were in there. You know, and it's challenging. You don't. I never want to get rid of any of the stuff because I find something to enjoy about all the games. And if we've played them once, one of the things that Nikki and I want is just to play games more than once. And we are trying to keep up with that, but let me see if I can find Jessica Jones here. I think we're going to paint her today. And maybe finish Blade. I'm not 100% sure. Feel better in a less cluttered space usually too. Absolutely. I am a big fan of sparse layouts, and we are not living in that right now. I usually have everything organized and things put away, and we just have games in the living room. Actually, living room. There's some games in the living room right now because we're going to give them to Nick and Mike Murphy. Sadly, they are moving tomorrow, or really today, but tomorrow they're moving to Sacramento, and that's where they're from, and so it's going to be harder for us as production. But they're coming. Nick's coming by tomorrow, and he's picking up something that he forgot here, and then he's driving up. He's picking up another friend too on the way, that lives a little bit further east of us. So we're going to give them some games, but there's also still a few games. We actually have the box of games that we brought back from the BG library that we have to analyze and figure out what we're going to play. We have scheduled some filming ahead to try to get everything done. As I said, I'm still waiting on the kids' games. I really hope to get them soon. But the downer is, as you know, we only found out on Tuesday what was nominated, and those games, I ordered them from Germany, and they often take a little bit of time. And they're saying they're going to be 2 weeks before we get them. I mean, probably a week and a half now at this point. But Actually, I don't know. It's Tuesday. I don't know. They shipped. I ordered them from Amazon.de, but they ship from the UK, which I don't understand. Too much going on. Let me see here what we got. Let me close this. I do not need to see my email at this time. I'm really eager to paint. I have not been painting since before we went to BGG Con, so I'm really eager to paint. Let's see here of the people. I like to look at the reference images from that Big Child Creative painted. Jessica Jones. Because I might as well follow their, wow, does that look like she has something of a collar on that shirt? I never saw that show. But that is interesting. She has dark hair and looks like, oh, that's because of they like to do like a blue key light on the side, which is cool, but I'm not. I do that a little bit. I did, on the Moon Night, I spent a little bit of time and kind of did some of that stuff, but it's okay and it's fun, but I don't know. I'm not that great of a painter. I'm decent, but I don't generally do I did some. So over here I had some OSL lighting going on here with, oh goodness, what's his name? And it turned out cool. I did it with an airbrush and some brushwork. I did brushwork on his eyes. And it's fun, but I don't feel that it's kind of diminishing returns. It looks great. But it's one figure that out of hundreds now that I have, that I don't necessarily feel I need to spend the time on. I did Dormammu that way, and Hela. This one I actually did airbrush his hair or whatever on the top, but down here I hand painted these and blended them. I also did some like light reflecting onto, on his shoulders and then on the ground, and did that from different angles. And then Hela, I didn't do all of that. I shaded it here so her cape looks dusty or whatever on the bottom, and that turned out cool. And those are fun. I really love it. It's just, how much do I want to spend? I spent a good amount of time on, what is he called? Superior Spider-Man? And I hand blended all this on his, I guess, like spider art legs or whatever. I don't know anything about him. I don't know if he's mechanical based or what. Thanks. I don't know that I'm that great. Thank you though, Angela. I do like painting them. It's really fun. And I would like to go faster. I am going faster. That is basically where my greatest progress has been, is I'm actually able to paint a little quicker. Hey, Risto Pisto. UK is closer to you. Last time I ordered from Amazon.de, it came from Zaragoza, Spain, which is twice as far from me than Germany. Interesting. Yeah, I don't get it. I'm not. And if I was going to order from the UK, I would like the English version of Taco Kitten Pizza Junior. There is an English version, not going to be sold here because in the US, the original publisher has the rights, and I don't know if they're doing Junior. They probably will do it now that it's been nominated, but it's not available right now, and it's a bummer. I think I can get it from Canada, but Canada's not fast shipping either. It's crazy because it's close. So I have some friends in Canada. I send them stuff every once in a while, and it takes forever, weeks to get there. And, a lot of it has to do with customs, and tax, they are very particular. Now, these are gifts, and I don't think that I hope that they don't get charged any money, because that would really bum me out. I don't think you should have to pay to cover your birthday gift. But, boy, I got to find some color for some jeans. Hey, how about I look at a different color here? I have some of these now, and I want to try them, I think. Let's see. Yeah, I used to order, well, I still order things from the UK all the time. I used to order from Germany often too, but things have slowed down a lot. And, you know, I get it, you know, but, and shipping's more expensive and all that, that's all fine, but it just seems really bad. I really should paint her face first though. So let me do that before I get carried away. But yeah, I've ordered from Amazon DE and UK and Japan, and I tell you, it's easier for stuff to get, usually easier and quicker for me to get stuff from either UK or Japan. But they said somebody else was doing the delivery. Let me look and see what that is. And I was like, what is that about? Because I got 2 shipping notifications. I'm like, what is this? I didn't order this. And then I realized it was those packages. It could be from Spain. It's in Spanish, but maybe they're just assuming since I'm in Southern California, they might be doing that. But Ascendia is sending it. Ascendia. That's just weird. And it's not, of course, you know, the kids' game, it's not critical to have the English version. I mean, I already have the rules as they're available and downloadable from Blue Orange. I'm sure Blue Orange would like to do them in the United States if they could. But the original publisher, which I don't remember the name, I think we have, as a matter of fact, I know we have it. We have both the French, the French version of it and the original American version. I don't remember what the deal was. We were very eager to get it. And I don't know that we ever played it, which is silly. That may be too bright. Oh, I'm not doing that right now. Well, let me clean this up because it is messy. I watched Lila Mev had a coverage of the latest, this year's paints, and she had some good points about them. I don't know that I have the same, well, brighter colors, yes. That was one of her main problems with a lot of the releases. As a matter of fact, Big Child Creatives have paints called, the people that do the minis, these Marvel United minis, sculpt them and paint them for their the campaign. They have a new paint called Atom that looks pretty good. I saw John Ninus, the guy, Ninjon, he bought them at Adepticon, and I think he thought they were pretty great too. Let me see, there we go, Speed Paint Medium. I've only used these a little bit. It is weird though. I wish that it was easier. I mean, as I say, I get stuff. It's very expensive to order from Japan, surprisingly, because lately, because the yen has been low. And my friend Brian went and he ordered a DVD from Amazon while he was in Japan, had it delivered to his hotel. And, you know, he saved good money because he wasn't bringing it overseas. But we mostly, he and I are into 3D Blu-rays. You might have, if you've watched the same game, we were talking about Laserdisc. We both have a history with all kinds of versions of media, but we are both into 3D. I think I got him into, I know I did. He came to our house and we showed him our new 3D TV at the time, which was already a little, I think we absolutely bought it just after the CES announcements of the new TVs for 2018. And so I am painting her pants. I do not know what I'm doing. I need to do her face. Anyway, and so we got into 3D just as the end of it was happening, you know. And wow, this is not wet enough. But you know, it's fine. They just don't sell them. The crazy thing is, like, they still sell, like, the Star Wars and the Marvel movies, Disney, on discs with 3D and 4K and a standard Blu-ray, and we buy them. That's probably coming to an end. The last release I think I know of, other than like archive releases in the US, was Avatar Way of the Water. They actually released that in 3D. And they had done some, like Dune, when not the new Dune, but Dune 1. They had released that in 3D, and that was exciting. But I don't even think they even did a 3D version of the movie this time, so it didn't. Avatar did not revive 3D. Oh, you know what? I'm not on the call. So if anybody jumps in, I don't hear any of that stuff. Boo. Let me get on the call. So many things we can do here. Where the heck are the bookmarks? I'm not good at this stuff. I mean, I definitely know. There we go. Wow, this is very strange. None of the ones are on here. So it is strange to me how this does this. Like, everything is gone. Hey, there's that at least. Should be a favorite. Okay, let me fix that. It's good. It's helpful because then I can hear when somebody, when we have anything happen. Not that a lot happens on the paint streams. Wow, this paint, very, very different. Oh wow, no, I'm wondering why I'm getting hurt. It's because the airbrushes are poked out here. I need to put them away. I have 3 of them out here. Actually, 5 of them out, because I have 2 that I'm generally using most of the time. Too much. I keep getting emails about, like, one of the new companies that I like their stuff, but I'm not going to buy any more of their airbrushes. I really don't need any more airbrushes. I've had airbrushes since I was young. My parents bought me one, maybe when I was like 12 or 13. And I used that one forever, and then started buying, let me get this done. Started buying some, I don't remember how long into it, probably in the 2000s, buying more from that same brand, probably before that. And then, as I got more and more into it, I bought more of their airbrushes because I was originally using Badger, and I still do. But then I started trying Harder and Steenbeck, Iwata, and they're all pretty great. You know, it's good airbrushes is nice. I've also purchased airbrushes just so that I can talk about them on my paint streams, like new ones, just to recommend, because I feel buying an airbrush is a really good idea to paint minis. It definitely speeds things up. It also, I think zenithal undercoating is pretty awesome. You get with the semi-transparency of paint, you get shading right off the bat, and using these speed paints, you really get the shading. So let's see here. You can't really see it, but her pants those look actually pretty good. That's a good color. What was this one? Tyrian Navy. I need to remember that one. But yeah, boy, I gotta finish getting on the call. It's weird though, it should remember all this stuff. But we've been using the same call settings for all these for years now, because it just makes it simple. We are streaming regularly enough that we just use the same setup. There we go. So this is set up so that I don't hear myself, which would drive me crazy. Let's see if it'll load. I don't want it to be the full screen. It is crazy to me how much this stuff... There we go. Hooray! Awesome. Okay. Might have had audio from that coming in too, because that is part of the call. But now that should be muted. I do really like I don't have I haven't used the Army Painter speed paints a lot yet. I've used a few now, and I like them. They are pretty great. They're a little less expensive. I mean, I don't know if they truly. I'm pretty sure they're a little less expensive. There's more paint, I believe, in the speed paints or the contrast paints, but the speed paints. Let's see, what does this have in it? Tyrian Navy is, I think it's 18 milliliters. It is 18 milliliters. Let's see what these do. I think they're at least 20. Nope, 18 milliliters. Wow. How is that possible? That looks so much smaller. So I would say that they're a better deal for the paints, for sure. But you got to get used to what I really do. I've used the contrast paints now for 4 or 5 years. Can't remember. I think they came out in 2019. Boy, I don't remember. And I really liked them then. I knew exactly what they were going to be. It was so weird. I'm like, when they were explaining to them, when they were released, I'm like, oh, these are going to be fantastic, and they are pretty great. They do a nice job. The colors are really strong. But they only have 60-something colors, and not that that's a bad thing. Hey, I just spread it on there. Not that that's a bad thing. I feel that some of these have too many colors. Army Painter has a bunch of new paints, which I'm intrigued by, but I don't need that many paints. It's a couple hundred bottles of stuff, and it's including, like, it's a full range of paints. No speed paints, but all of the technical kind of paints and the washes, and they use triads. And for my problem with the paints is it's an awful lot of the same colors, because you're not the same, different intensities of the same family. So you basically have too many, I feel too many blues, too many, I haven't really looked at it all yet, and it's expensive. Even though it's a good deal, if you get I think even just straight as it is, it's a pretty good deal, but it's $700 and something for the full set. I won't be buying that. I do need acrylics. It's the one thing I don't have enough of, is just standard acrylics. But I do have some, and so I would like to try to get through those first before I purchase any more stuff. And, at the rate that I'm going through them, it's going to be forever. So who knows when I'll buy the Army Painter paints. But Adam Smasher, who is a friend of ours and his streams on, we have his streams running on the BG front page twice a week. He works for them now. and he's part of the factory team that goes to the cons and stuff. And he has said that they were really good. He told me about them well before he said he was going to be working for them. And it was a long time before it was announced, but he had been sent the whole, I don't know if it was officially that he was going to be working for them at that point, but he had the whole, I think all of the colors basically, and was saying that they were quite good. He'd already been talking a lot about the airbrush colors that use they have triads for those colors too. So the triads means, it usually at least means 3 colors that will, you can use as a light, medium, and dark. And you don't have to, you don't have to blend them, and they'll work together. And that's pretty awesome. The new paints actually have 6 colors. So you have 4 triads, I think, inside that. Wait, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so there's 4 triads that you can do. And you don't have to do them all next to each other. You can jump. And that's pretty neat, but I'm not necessarily that kind of painter. And I do not mind blending paints at all. But I can absolutely see how that would make life a lot easier, especially because you don't have to worry about actually making that match. You have your formula, right? And you can mix it and mostly get it every time. But with these, you're going to get it much, much more accurate, even though there might be some variances between different batches of the same colors. The terrifying one is when they get rid of the color that you like. That happens all the time. Cool, pants look cool. Hey Chad, how you doing? We saw it, we were Chad was mentioning in our Slack that Dicebreaker went closed down. I mean, they're not gone, I guess, but they're not. They let go of a lot of creators, writers and stuff, which is a bummer. Our friend Alex Lawley's, she was there at Dicebreaker for a while, and she is now very close to delivering her baby. So her life has changed quite a bit, I'm sure, and it's going to get even more crazy. But we really love her, and she's really fun, and her husband or significant other is awesome as well. Let's do the flesh tone. Where is that picture? There it is. She has darker skin. Interesting. It's interesting too how different, when they do the models for the Kickstarter, they're 3D printed. So they're going to look different ultimately when they come out. And sometimes it's shocking, like, wow, they changed that. But I mean, I bet a lot of those choices are made because of just molding them, right? Just to be able to produce them, mass produce them, they have to do some changes to the mold themselves just to be able to do it right. It's a lot of new this week for sure. News, yeah. Oh, it still has the game there. I'm sorry, Chad, if you can fix that. We did play Cascadito last Thursday. That was awesome with Mike Nikoloff. We did not. I was supposed to paint stream on Tuesday, but Mike Murphy was. So the Brothers Murph studio is down. It's basically up now in Sacramento, but he was still down here, and we needed to talk anyway and make an exchange for some stuff. But it was good. I was really glad that I had one last chance to talk with him. And I'll see Nick tomorrow. But I am sad they're leaving. Okay, cool. I'm usually pretty good about changing the, I was just running with troubles there, trying to get rolling and trying to log in. So even though I think it's best, but what's frustrating is when you're doing these crazy passwords that you don't remember, and if you have to type them in, like I use a password manager, but I don't have it on these machines, although I probably should try to get it on at least this machine to the left of me. When you have like certain letters that look similar, so lowercase l, uppercase I, and that was what it was, and I thought I had that correct in my head. That one of, because you have to remember that if you're going to type them in, and I can't copy and paste between the two. I had it on my phone, but I couldn't. I wasn't logged in. It wasn't letting me log into anything, so it was crazy. Hey, Mage Clans, how you doing? So let's see about her face. But yeah, I was struggling with that. It took me a while. And I finally just copied it and kept changing the things that I thought might be the issue, and finally got it to work. It's pretty silly. So yeah, the one thing that Lila Mev was talking about was in her ratings is like just the ability to get the colors. Like if you can't buy the paints, when she said that Duncan Rhodes paints are hard to get, and I was shocked because they have, maybe there's just a production issue, but Asmodee is their distributor in the United States. They have an agreement. So I was like, well, that means they're going to be easy to find. Now, I don't have any of the paints yet from that one. I did not back the Kickstarters. I'm kind of sold on the contrast paints and the speed paints. I really like working with them, and I think I don't necessarily need to have. Wow, I'm running out of contrast medium. I must buy some more. But there is a store, we have a store in Burbank that has their paints, but they only have the first range. And they're not cheap, and that's okay. I mean, I'm willing to pay if the paints are decent. They don't have to be the best, like perfect, because I'm not that kind of a painter. But the downer is there's some paints I'd like to buy, and they're in either the Wave 2 or Wave 3, so they're not available yet, and I don't know if they're going to be available anytime soon. I would hope so. Oh, you're doing good. That's awesome. We are happy to... this is the time of the year that we're excited about the games. So usually at BGG-Con Spring, well, not usually, but for the most of the life, if not all of the life of that con, the SDJ jury would come and show us the newly nominated games. This year, they had their meeting later in June, which was just this last weekend, and chose the nominees. And so they couldn't show the games, and that's the other plus for Game Night, is that they bring the games. If they get us the information, they let us know, and we try to order everything and have it there by the end of the week. I mean, they let everybody know, but they let us know, and so we'll have, and whatever we can't order, they will bring in their luggage. And I mean, every time the children's games, I mean, I can't remember a time when the children's games were available in the U.S. So, and Christoph, who I mentioned earlier that we had on the, he was in the video for, wow, was that the tablet? He's the head of the children's jury, and he's always very, very helpful with that. He was actually trying to, he's like, whatever you can't get, I will try to get sent to you. He had a vacation planned, so not too long, but enough that it would be a little bit of a hassle for us. So we ordered them, and thankfully everything else we had. We had already we talked with the publisher of Captain Flip. We know Thomas He was he's from used to founded Repos with Cedric Comal, and so this is his new company, and he wanted us to check the game out. Now we didn't get to actually play it at the Gathering of Friends, but we got a copy from the library, and we're going to feature it anyway, and now we need to feature it, which is exciting. I mean, I don't know if it's their first game, but it's one of the first two, I think. So that's pretty exciting to be nominated for a brand new publisher. And I hope that I'm not sure. At this point, I honestly feel Sky Team's the one to beat. But yeah, we filmed that one already, and we're gonna have to we'll probably just add another level playthrough or something. It'll be weird, but I always want to give a good and have a good judgment of it of ourselves. Now, that's the problem with I guess all the games. I mean, in reality, all the Kenners, as they are all, well, that's not true. Sky Team's in the SDJs, but Guild of Merchant Explorers is not, you don't have to play it. You do. You want to play it. We've played it quite a few times, amazingly enough. But it doesn't, it's not any kind of a campaign thing or legacy. It does change the way that you play. The variety of the cards help change the game up when you're playing it. But anyway, it's good to play when we're judging them. We're not really judging them. We're just like saying what we like and what we think the jury might pick when we do our video. But it's nice to actually have a chance to play them a few times, and that's one of the benefits of when they come to the BGG Spring. They will be there next year, but we don't know that it will. Wow, I forgot about her neck. But we don't know that it'll be the next year after that. So it's a bummer. We definitely really loved having them there, and it was really awesome meeting all the different folks from the jury over the years. And thankfully they'll be back next year. But wow, I'm giving her a black eye. And the way you do that is you just wick it up. Now the brush is dry enough, but usually you might need a drier brush to wick it up. I like to do the face first because I find it's easy for me to work away from that and not mess up the face. When I'm trying to go in after I've painted other stuff, I just find it's very difficult to do anything with it. So I do need to paint her neck and her chest. Out of focus. It's kind of hard to see the defining line here from her top. It's pretty clear on the painted mini from the campaign. I'm getting the emails for the DC United because I signed up. I don't know how much I'm going to spend on it because I'm kind of terrified. I spent a lot on the last one, and it's just gone up every time. Now, it costs more to make the things, all that. Oops. I don't want that on her. Her shirt is white. And I'm not even, the funny thing is I see myself as more of a DC person, but in the last 15 years, 16 years, I've gotten more exposed to the DC, Marvel stuff because of the movies and stuff like that. Nikki, I don't know what Nikki really, her favorite stuff is. She has read a lot of that stuff. But she also likes independent comics. So when I was younger, I read like Watchmen and Dark Knight, stuff like that. But not a lot. I was never crazy about it. So I was excited when Watchmen came out to see what they would do with it. And I think it was pretty good. I am not a big Zack Snyder fan. I keep giving him a shot, though. It's not like it's just not, he's just not my kind of thing. Oops. Her hands are very dark. I did not highlight them at all underneath. Now, that's okay. It's been a lot of changes lately. So James, who was on our show this week, James Hudson, he is moving probably this week as well back to Alabama, as also going home. It is expensive to live here in Southern California. That's part of the problem. But for Mike Murphy, he just needs to his family support. They've got a daughter, and it will just help them out. And, they'll have a little bit better situation anyway. Although I loved where they lived. Gosh, it was a nice neighborhood and close to the beach, so it was cool. But yeah, so same thing with James. And his wife, I guess, wanted to go back too. Lots of family there and friends, so... I'm just sad, they'll all come back to town, but it's still not the same. And we didn't even get to see James as much as we like James. And we were actually hoping to go to Disneyland. He's been like the crazy Disneyland person since he moved to Orange County. But we were just not able to make it happen. But we did film 2 episodes with him, so that one came out, and then we got another one for his Tidal Blades 2, which was very good. But that's not released. The game doesn't come out till a little bit later, and we want to time up with that so people could get it. Hands, paint her hands. Hey, Stacy Everdell. I'm doing well. How are you doing? I did do there was white. I mean, I had white on her face. This one is, it's definitely not as bright necessarily, but I'm not really worried about it. They're not moving out of Cali. This is Mike Murphy and Nick Murphy. Yeah, they're just moving to Sacramento, which is a couple, like 4 or 5 hours north of here. And that's fine. I mean, we love Mike and Nick. And I did see those guys more than I saw James. But it's just a bummer. Like we have, hey, now see, I painted her hand on this one is brighter. But yeah, it's, it was great. I mean, we're still going to work with them on this stuff, but it's just been so nice to be able to meet up, get them the games that we're working on, that they need to work on, and discuss stuff. And now I told them we'll just have to have a phone call once a month. And they think, it's funny, like Nick thinks that we're going to come down like 2 or 3 times a year. And Mike was saying that they're going to come down 4 or 5 times a year. We'll see. I know how that goes. Life gets in the way for sure. And they do want to see, they have a lot of friends. They've been down here a long time, you know, like 10 or 15 years. So, and it's really, you know, a challenge because they've definitely built relationships. I'm not really happy with the skin on this one. I'm not sure what to do. Maybe when I do the, I'm sorry, it's not a shot. Maybe when I do the eyebrows and stuff, it will help. It's a little splotchy. So I usually call my mom every night, and so the other thing we did this week was we filmed something with Aaron that we refilmed. We had to refilm it because we had a problem. And then he writes me that we messed something else up, but it wasn't as terrible, I guess. So we'll see how that goes. But it's what we get when we do these longer games. I am not, this is actually, once again, this is the, Stacy, this is the, this is what I use for almost every skin tone, human skin tone. It is fantastic, Gilliman flesh. It is painted. It was this flesh here. It's this flesh here. She's darker, at least according to the picture. This isn't right. It's this flesh here. It's this flesh here. I mean, it is most of the, I love this paint. Let me show you Shuri. She is done with this paint. It is an amazing paint. Does a great job. And you just need to thin it with the contrast medium. This was done with the same paint. And both of these, Okoye and Nick Fury. Really awesome stuff. It is, I don't know, I mean, this is the same stuff. You know, it's really an amazing paint. Really an amazing paint. Probably the most versatile one for me, anyway. You just need to use the contrast medium. I have not, as I said, I got some of the colors from Army Painter, and I've not used theirs yet. They could be just as good. I imagine they probably are, but I really have been blown away by the Gilliman flesh. It is really, really good. And this is the first bottle I bought. So I've used it, I don't know how, let me see if I can see in here. No, it's a dark, pretty dark pigment. But it's gone a long time now. You know, I'm only painting faces, but it has really, one of them's a little darker here. Looks like Storm. But yeah, it's a really great paint. Oh yeah, here's a little bit more. That's the same. She needs some help though. It's very pink and her lips look terrible. I have to figure that one out. Where am I getting water from here? Okay, time for a drink. It's a little warm in here. That is correct. You use the contrast paint. I mean, I do that on everything. Almost every paint I paint, unless I'm certain I want it to be the brightest, I will, since the shading is built in from the paint, from the undercoating instead of the, so the way speed paints and contrast paints work is you paint it one color, white, or a light gray or a light tan, and then you just put it on. So that's how this one was done. You just drip it on and you paint it on, you even it out so it doesn't get too splotchy, and then it settles in. It settles in these and does these little lines, right? The organic stuff is amazing. Skin and robot kind of armor is harder to do, smoother surfaces. But it looks really great, and it does its own shading on top of a light undercoat. With doing it with the zenithal highlighting, since shading is already working from the undercoat, I generally lighten the intensity with the contrast medium, or they have a speed paint medium for the speed paints. And then, wow, it's really, this one is way more, I wonder what I did with the airbrush on that one. Because this is much smoother, but her face isn't as bright. But it's a little bit more splotchy. Now that's airbrushing, so something was not quite right when I did that. It's not a big deal. It is kind of a bigger deal for the shirt, but otherwise it doesn't really matter. But then what I do is I thin it down. I don't thin it down, I decrease the intensity, and then I build up the layers. And it generally does a pretty great job. I feel skin, well, I mean everything. You know, I only occasionally do I paint the full intensity, and then half the time, well, not half the time, third of the time, I'm disappointed because you know, it's too dark. So I almost always feel you should just build up. Now she has very dark hair. So we'll see here. I'm going to try to figure out how to do that. This one looks great though, actually. I guess it's not that bad. It's just the one that was very smooth looking is dark. Well, her face isn't so smooth though. And I may do some highlights to brighten it up with some white, you know, like flesh tone or white paint. I have some flesh tone, you know, standard acrylics. Not enough for this kind of stuff, really. Because for me, whites are terrible. I'm not good with them. They're cakey. I mean, you can see here, that's what's going on with this one. Now, I haven't put on, I guess I could do some right now. Let me maybe thin it out a little bit more. Because I haven't finished her. That is correct, Stacy. I generally build it up. I mean, with all the contrast paints. Some of the things like I said, some I will go, I know it's like, I believe this color, I went on with it full intensity on the red. I think. But it depends. If I know the actual, how the color, you know, with more use of the colors, I have more knowledge of it and how much it takes to, you know, what it looks like on the undercoating and stuff like that. But yeah, I generally build them up because I feel like, for example, with blacks, I use two different kinds of black here, essentially. I use Basilicanum Gray for the coat, and then I used, I think, Black Legion for the pants. And for the pants, I was pretty certain I wanted them to be very black, but for the coat, I wanted it to build up a little bit. And so I diluted it down, not diluted it, dropped the intensity a little bit, because it actually isn't diluted. It's, I mean, the color is diluted, right? But it's the same kind of, the medium is exactly the same medium that they make the paint out of. It's just no pigment. And so I built it up a little bit. Now, like I said, I kind of want to go back and do some shading to make the folds look more, wow, I don't know what's going on in the house. Let me turn that down. I definitely want it to be, you know, because like, for example, I was saying with blacks are never really black, right? When you look at them, like if it's leather, so I'm assuming this coat is leather, there's lots of reflected light, so it's never that dark. And so when I mean, for example, I think I might have done him with, boy, it wasn't that long ago. I think I did I think I actually did thin it down, but I think I used the Basilicanum Gray on his black as well, because I see it as kind of leather. It's like a motorcycle suit, you know, or something like that. Exactly. Doesn't affect the viscosity, only the pigment. So it still works like contrast paints, not as intense. But I always feel like I get better results when I'm a little bit more patient. I wonder if she's got like a leather jacket too. It seems kind of like it. She's also got very dark eyebrows and brown eyes. So I will have to figure that out. But for her hair, for example, I am going to lessen the intensity because I want to do a streak of light in her hair that comes over her forehead. Maybe. I may just go and do that in the end with a standard acrylic. We'll see here. It's not in focus. Let's move Black Widow out of the way. The denim is darker than I thought it would be, but I still like it. I personally prefer dark denim, so I'll just go with what I prefer. She has black boots, so I will probably paint those as leather as well. But yeah, it's cool. And it really gives you some control over the color intensity. Once again, so I painted Wasp, and if you look at the card, like the art, it is very similar. It's a greenish black. Now, this is still not that intense, but I'm basically going with it because I would prefer to not have every figure have almost black clothing. And I really am happy with the way this turned out. You know, her lips are still a little like intense for me. And maybe I can fix that. But I love the visor. I painted the eyes on the visor like you're seeing underneath there, so they're less intense. It was cool, and that's an example of me thinning it down. I also did some, like, you know, shading with various, this is the same color, but this is like straight out of the bottle, and then this is thinned down. So it is pretty interesting what you can get. Like, this was the only yellow. I mean, you could see how orange it is. That I believe it's the only yellow. They might have had one other one that Games Workshop put out. And when you thinned it down, it actually was kind of yellow and less orange. But I was very happy when they released 3 other yellows. Yeah, paint straight. Yeah, I'm glad you're learning something, Stacy. I think you should. I definitely feel you should try doing the zenithal. I'm very impressed with the end result, particularly with lighter colors. You know, you can see there's some shading going on here. It's not a ton because, you know, she's kind of bold out there, and I wanted it to be bold, but it really does quite a bit. I mean, you know, the shading on this one was really awesome too. And then, you know, I go back and do a little bit of stuff with some acrylic to give it, and some more of the color. And I'm still not even done with that. I just, you know, like keep moving. But it really does a pretty good job. And I actually use, so I've used zenithal highlighting to paint standard acrylics as well. I use it to determine like the shading that I'm going to do. I haven't done that in a very long time because I don't have, I haven't painted standard acrylic for forever, but so let's see if we can get her a little bit less ghostly. But yeah, the white, oh, you can't see it. The white is just very chalky, and I tried not to work it too much because that's the problem. As you work it more, it becomes, you know, you see the brush strokes. You don't want that. I mean, you really don't want that. But I was trying to fix something anyway on this one, so it'll be fine. Her eyes look great, and then I need to paint her. Now, it's not great. It's, you know, it's funny. They don't even really look the same. Her eyes look great too, though, so whatever. But yeah, it's the one thing I'm not good at still. I'm trying to, so supposedly when you use a light paint that has another color in it, it does a better job of being smooth, and I am not gotten that together. Awesome. Yeah, if you need any help, Stacy, you can write me. I'm at lincoln@boardgamegeek.com on deciding what you want to use, you know, giving you any advice. I feel most airbrushes are going to do you a good job, so you'll probably do fine on your own, but you never know. I really, you know, just starting with this little compressor, I'm glad I bought one. I think it's great. It's not as great as a full-on compressor. You know, a full-on compressor with a tank will give you smoother air, but I got to tell you, this is not that noticeable. And this is an airbrush and this airbrush and a compressor for like $60, $70. It's a good start, but ultimately this airbrush is just okay. But for $60, $70 and you're just doing undercoating on it with it, you know, the only trouble I feel that you really will have is cleaning the airbrush. It ultimately comes down to, and been using them for years and years and years, and I still have issues with it. I don't quite understand what is happening with the you're supposed to be able to clean the airbrush while using it, so you clean it with water, then put an airbrush cleaner through it. I have like this airbrush cleaner from Iwata Medea, and it works. It does a good job, but I still find that sometimes there's still paint. Having gone through, made sure it was running clear, and then it's like there's still paint in there. Now maybe I'm being overly paranoid about the how clean it should be ultimately, but it really bugs me. And from the beginning, I took this is my first airbrush right here. Different trigger, but this is it. And I took it apart. I took it apart every time. Now the difference is with this one is the head. This is a slightly heavier one, needle, I think. This might be a medium. So this nozzle is very tiny, does not come off easily, and if you do take it off, you have to use things like, I don't even see, it's not even like slotted to be able to take it off. So I don't know if I've ever taken one of these off. I have taken it off, but I don't know if I've ever taken one off of like an active airbrush. I've just bought new heads with the one that I want. But I clean it, and I do something like I roll the edge of a napkin or paper towel into a point and clean it out, and you can let it soak in like the paint cleaner, airbrush cleaner, and it does a good job cleaning it out. But I did that every time. Every time I was done, I took it apart and cleaned it. So that is why this airbrush is still going. Now, I have purchased other heads over nothing in the last 25 years, but I had purchased them beforehand. When I really wasn't from like getting it dirty, I had dropped the airbrush. So I had this part off. Well, I don't think I might have dropped one of these with the nozzle, the cap on it, the head, but I think I dropped it like this. So it bent this and messed up. I couldn't pull it out, right? It was going to destroy it. So I just bought a new needle and a new head assembly, and I think it came with both of these parts. And it wasn't terribly expensive, but I've never had to do that again. I've learned how to deal with it. I have dropped another airbrush, like very much like this one that was another was Harbor Freight one that I bought just to see, because I'm like, wow, that really looks like the Badger airbrush. And it was not the same, but it was similar. And then the new ones are kind of stealing the design from like Iwata. And so they do evolve. Never had any luck with the airbrushes despite following instructions to a T. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I really love them. I've been using them for a very long time. And I have found personally that I get better results from higher end, finer detail. So this airbrush here, I believe, is a fine needle. And you know, this is not something you would recommend to a beginner. Now, of course, I bought this many years after using stuff, but I find that I have I get better results with the finer ones. The heavier ones, you know what? I think I remember now. I know what happened on this. I was trying to use this airbrush, and I think I had the pressure wrong or something. Because if you don't have things right, you get things like this spatter. I don't know if you can really see it. But it's a little, it looks like a, you know, like a wool coat or something, you know. It's not smooth. Now, if you look at this one, this one's very smooth. Like the shading is very, very fine. The pigment, you know, the atomization is very fine. And that's, you know, trial and error. I did paint these at different times. Generally now, I will paint them at the same time. And I will tell you, they won't match. I've talked about this before. I did art when I was in school, college, and I was trying to do the same painting twice at the same time. And it was hard, really, really hard. Much more difficult than I thought it would be. But that was the thing. I really wanted to see if I could do it. And what the deal was is I was thinking that I would slightly alter the two towards the end, but they were altered a lot already. But I really love, airbrushes are great. You know, I think particularly for undercoating, I mean, or just painting like vehicles, like that's one of the things when I got into Warhammer stuff 25 years ago, that was wonderful. You can airbrush a vehicle, then to paint the details and do stuff to it afterwards, and it was awesome. I have red paint on my hand. I do not know how I have red paint. But it was, you could cover it and then do dusting on, like dust and rust and all kinds of things and build upon it. It was really awesome. Okay, I'm going to do some yeah, it was an interesting experiment. Why does it look like a tattoo gun? It's kind of like that, isn't it? Mage Clan says for white I painted very light gray and barely use white. That is Mage Clan has the answer. Oh, you got the Fanatics Metallics. Wow, awesome. That is actually the answer, because the reality is you don't need white. White is too white. Light grays, light peaches, light tones, the paint is smoother. For whatever reason, I think it's the pigment in white is probably larger. More, the dimensions of each granule of pigment are larger, and it's not good. But the best answer is don't paint the white straight. And it's still good to have it, obviously, and I mix it with other colors, and that's fine as well. It doesn't do it as easily for me. It's better when I use, for example, like this gray that I use from Citadel. And I've used I have several different grays from Pro Acryl, and they are pretty great too. And you'd be surprised at how, now, I should get some, I have like some light flesh tone from, let's see, where is it? Light flesh from Vallejo, and it's okay, but I had the same problem. I feel it's almost too white, but that is the answer, is to not paint white. But it does look like a tattoo gun. It's because it's the way the paint works. The way it works on this is you have your paint coming in from above. This is a gravity feed. This one here is a suction feed, so the bottle's attached below, and the air going through the gun sucks the paint into the nozzle, and then it gets atomized at the part where you're saying it's kind of like a tattoo gun. The needle, this one here doesn't have a needle guard. It sort of does, right? But you can actually paint. Can I paint with this one off? No. Some of them you can. This one actually, so this nozzle, on the other one, it's threaded in. This one's actually just friction fit. You can't even see it, but yeah, you must have this on to do it. But some of the other ones, when it's the nozzle guard, you pull it off and it still works. That lets you get closer. When you can get closer with your the head of your airbrush, you can do finer lines. That is why many heavy nozzle, needle and nozzle airbrushes can deliver great thin lines, because if you can just get it close to your work surface, it'll look really good. But yeah, it was, as I was saying, it was an interesting experiment, but it was one I didn't dare repeat in that manner. Now here I am trying to do it again with the miniatures. And it's fine. They don't have to be exact. They're not going to live side by side, so it doesn't really matter. But it was cool. It was fun. It was weird. That was I think it was my first or second year of college. I was like, oh, I'm going to try this. And it was not easy. But I actually did airbrush projects in high school. I was like the airbrush guy. Everybody that needed to have something, a background airbrushed, I would do it for them. And that was a big deal. Like, people did not use them. But I don't remember. I don't think I asked for an airbrush. And it's funny, I must have had my high school teacher help me with it. I don't, somewhat, because I don't remember, but there wasn't YouTube at that time. So I don't know how. I didn't go to any kind of class for airbrush. I just started doing it. And didn't destroy the thing. You know, I'm sure my obsessive cleaning portion of it is because I had no idea what to do, you know, and how to care for them. And so I just kept them clean. Mike Nikoloff is not moving, if anybody thought that was the mic. He will be busy, though. He's a, manager, but he is a programmer, and he needs to be certified, so he's struggling just because, you don't use everything. It's from Amazon Web Services or something like that. And, wow, this is very light. That's okay, though. He only uses 20% of what is all that's available, but you have to test for all of it to get approved, certified. Because he's done it before, but it's been 4 or 5 years. I don't know, maybe it's less than that, but still he's been struggling with it, like taking practice tests and just like, wow, I'm not ready. But we did have him. We're planning to film next week. We have In the Footsteps of Darwin is one of the other SDJ nominees. I don't think I actually listed all the ones that were SDJs. And he wants to play that one with us, with Dave and Nikki and I. So I'll probably be building this one up a lot. I think I put a little bit much on the... Now, this is actually probably the way Basilicanum Gray is supposed to look. But it comes out very dark. Wow, the Robinson Crusoe minis. Wow, that sounds challenging. We are on Twitch and YouTube simultaneously. We started doing that a while back because people don't know that we stream on YouTube. They don't know that we also stream GameNight. And so we decided, Twitch didn't want you to simulcast, but that's what it is, basically simulcast. They didn't want us to do that, and we just kind of realized they don't really care about board game streaming and stuff. So we decided to start streaming on both, and it is confusing for the audience. They are wondering like, who are they talking to? But we try to say who's talking. But But yeah, I mean, Twitch is cool, but it just doesn't. There's lots of stuff that they offer that I wish YouTube would offer, but it's just. And and I get it. Board game streaming is not super exciting. I mean, board game YouTube content isn't necessarily super exciting. It's mostly people making decisions. But I mean, for actual gameplay, there's all kinds of stuff that's fun and exciting otherwise. But yeah, that's too light. It's okay. I'll probably be building this one up a little bit more there. There you go. Thanks for the follow, D-Pad Danny. Yeah, that's very gray, but maybe I'll go with that. I don't know. Oh, what is SLOBS, Angela? We use vMix, and vMix does that for us as well. It does an okay job. You probably need, although I don't know. The only thing I think that I noticed that is a problem is the audio from these pop-ins that we have coming from Stream Elements. But I don't even know if that's the problem. I feel we had these problems before we started streaming on both channels, on both the services. But Twitch is fun because it has the community aspect, which is really awesome. I wish, and YouTube's trying to do things like that, but I don't think they've got it figured out. And it's too bad, because, and I don't really want to leave. I like what Twitch does, but I don't know. You'd think that they would try to really promote all of the content occasionally, because there's been events. The Murphs and Ruel Gaviola have done streams every month for years now, and I think maybe one time they got featured up front, and maybe BGG got featured one time during one of our convention streams, because they used to actually court us because they wanted us to exclusively go with them. But the problem was they would always come to us with a contract at the last minute, and we just couldn't do it. We're like, look, we can't sign this without checking it out. Come on, I should not have this palette here. It does not help. But I do like what they try to do anyway. I just wish that it was a little bit better for board gaming. And that's so, I don't always mention it, but I should. We have on BoardGameGeek.com/live is our live streaming schedule and many others' live streaming schedules. And we put those up there because we try to just at least grow the awareness of board gaming streaming. And when it's programmed into that schedule, it shows up on the front page of BGG, and it helps. Number one, just see different kinds of folks actually playing games. And it's worth it. It's worth doing it. And we've been trying for years. Only just in the last year did more people finally understand about it. I kept asking people, and I don't think they really understood what I was talking about. Like, hey, would you like to be on the front page? We don't ask anything of them. We just, I need the information, and that is it. I do the work, program it in, and everything. But doesn't always work out. But now people are starting to get it together, and it's good. It basically helps at least double your audience, and for us, it's helpful to have the YouTube going. People didn't know. They were like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you guys streamed, and because we have most of our audience on YouTube. Music just cut off. Oh, switch channels. Oh yeah, it's awesome, Stacy. It's great, and it's the Streamlabs OBS. Ah, okay, that's cool. Yeah, the URL is awesome. So it's new, and we actually will be we have on our YouTube show. We mentioned that link to the boardgamegeek.com/live. But the whole point is you can see I do them basically a month at a time. I was trying to just like work ahead, but the software that the CMS software that we use only lets me do a month. So I started doing this month, working to always be 1 month ahead. I don't always have that information from the streamers, but it's cool. And it's such a I'm so frustrated with how it works and all the effort that streamers put in, and barely anybody is aware that it's happening. So that is what we've been working on that. And it's great. You can watch it there on Twitch at least. The chat is visible there, and you can still look at the other schedules below that. It's awesome. But yeah, we have a little pop-up now on our videos that shows that, and we are giving it to some of the other streamers to share that information as well with others. The biggest challenge is how everybody streams the same days. Amanda, who was in here a little bit ago, she streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays, as do we, and it's like, and I understand. I mean, that's why we did it. We're like, oh, it's a good day. Those are good days. Monday, it's too, we're all trying to get our act together after the weekend, and it's not necessarily fun to do a stream. We used to stream on Fridays when it was during the pandemic. We didn't have anything better to do. But it just helps people raise awareness of what's going on. Too many new live streams to turn into. Well, it's definitely, and the fact is, I love it when people can get me the game information that they're doing. It's hard. We don't make decisions sometimes till the day of or the day before. But it's nice because then people can see that what game is going to be played, and it helps, you can plan, okay, I want to see that stream, because we can put that information in as well. We actually used to have it with, you could buy the games when we were working with a distributor, and they just weren't getting the games, which is a bummer, because it was a good idea. Well, during the pandemic, we actually had Sleeping Gods when nobody else did because of the distributor guy. People were like, yeah, this is, we were covering it, and they ordered a bunch, and everybody was trying to get it, and they had it. I really wish that worked out because it was awesome. We were trying to focus on games we thought people should have, and or that we were excited about. Or that we thought were going to be cool, that we're going to be popular. Because that's the issue, is that they're not necessarily available. Wow, I just got on her shirt. That's looking better. It's a little darker. Still not probably quite dark enough. But yeah, I was saying I would call my mom on nightly, but we had filmed on Monday. I got distracted by talking about what we did there. And call her nightly and see how she's doing and check in. And so she knew we were filming on Monday, but then I didn't call her on Tuesday because as I was getting the stuff together with Mike Murphy that he had filmed that day, we realized something was messed up, didn't record, and so we had to do those again. So I went out to the studio with him and worked on that, and then didn't call my mom. And so then I meant to call her early on Wednesday, and I didn't call her till the regular time, which is in the evening. And so she was kind of worried. She's like, I was going to call you soon if you didn't call me because I was worried about you guys. I'm like, oh, we're fine. It's just busy. And she checks on the stream, so she'll check to see if I'm painting here, and she'll watch a little bit, and then she'll know that we're doing, we're working, and so I will call her when I'm done on the stream. But it's funny, but yeah, we are just so busy. There's so much stuff going on. But we are fortunate. We don't have to do as much SDJ stuff. So usually the other thing is why it's so crazy for us is normally we come back from BGGCon and they would announce the children's games earlier. I think last year was the first year they did not do that. And so it would be like 2 weeks. We'd have 2 weeks time to get the episodes out and the discussion video, like talking about what we thought would win. And now it's all going to be one night near the end of July. So we should be okay. And Derek was happy because he just was freaking out because it's always a lot of stuff. We put out 3 episodes at a time, and that is just a lot of content. That's if we haven't done them. And it used to be way more that we didn't do those games. I like checking on my mom. She's by herself now. My dad passed away a long time ago. And, she's 78? Is that right? Let me think about it. 77, I think. Yeah, that's correct. And, her friends are passing away and stuff like that. It's terrible. I don't know. I'm sad that my dad died so young. He was only 56, so that was a challenge, and it's like it's been hard on my mom. But she looks pretty good. See, now, I don't know that you can see it here, but the leather looks more legit to me. Like, black leather is usually kind of shiny, so it's not super black. Now, if you use a black fabric, it absorbs more light and only will be like bright where the sun is beating down on it, or a bright light. So it's awesome. Now I'll probably make it a little darker, although I'm nervous because it might go too dark. I actually made it a little more intense by adding more of the straight color to it. But I think that looks good. Now I need her boots to be a little darker. They're very light here. So I might change the intensity of the boots. I might put like a black on the soles, but I don't know that it even matters. I mean, most of the time, I love these boots. Usually I have no idea what the shoes they're wearing are, but with these I know exactly what I even see these boots in real life, so it's weird. Oh, thanks, Angela. The leather does look nice. It looks really good here too. It's neat. It's just, you know, that's part of like observation. Like I realized that black was never as black as you think, right? And that's if you're doing this kind of thing. Now, sometimes if you're painting something and you want it to be specifically very dark black, then that's what you do. But there's those ultra black paints that look like you're looking into nothing, which are amazing. Okay, so now we're gonna do her hair. We'll let that stuff dry and we'll maybe do another coat. And then I'll finish up her face, I guess. I don't know if I'll get that done tonight. Oops. So I think I will once again thin it out though a little bit. And I think we'll use, I don't know, I kind of feel like one of these blacks is bluer and one of them is browner. And I don't remember which one it is. These are, Black Legion is the most recent one. I think it's now nearly 2 years old. I'm sure that GW is going to have some more paint colors here soon. So they sent me a year and a half ago. I guess it's been a year and a half. They sent me like all of the new paints. They were saying, "Oh, would you like to do this for content?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be great." I said, "I'll probably paint it." And they're like, "Oh, you're gonna paint? Do you want the paints?" I'm like, "Oh, I'd love to try them," because I had already bought like 27 or 8 of the 36 or so that they came out with. I actually won all the rest of the colors now. Now that I do doing everything like this with the contrast medium, I feel that they're all going to be beneficial. But I didn't buy them all because people are like, "Oh, this is a terrible color." And now I find that I don't think any color is terrible. So I'll probably get them. But they sent me all the colors, the new colors, and the shades, the new, basically inks. And so it was really nice of them. And it's been great. I mean, I really love the paints. What were they sending me? I think they were sending me Combat Arena and maybe Space Marine. I can't remember. I've painted the Space Marine stuff. We have not played it. Now they recommend we play the Warhammer Introductory, which we might do, but goodness gracious, it's already more than a year old. So things are, you know, they only have like 3-year cycles. But I wanted to do it with Nick Murphy. Oh my gosh, I have not seen his painting, but he has described it to me. Oh no, I've seen some of his painted stuff, but I haven't seen his Tyranids, which are basically like the xenomorphs from Alien. And I really want to see them. He needs to send me some photos. But we had talked about like painting together and doing some stuff together, but we just never were able to do it. And they are now moving. I think that was when they were talking about it moving, and then it's been in the works for a long time. So it's not like it's immediate, real sudden or anything like that. But it's a bummer. I really like those guys, and they're fun on the show. So we have, when we've had them on, we have an episode coming up with them that will be our season closer. I think the season closer is maybe next week. And then, well, it depends. I'll have to see here because we we have what we want to be the season opener is a tremendous amount of work. And it's, I mean, I can't really spoil it, but it's a bummer because it's going to be great and it was fun, but it's probably something we shouldn't play with 4 players. Hint is we've already done the base game of this game once before, so. Wow, it's dark. Whatever. Let's go with it. Yeah, we've done the base game, and it's one of our most popular videos, not our most popular video. And we had to film it twice. Challenging. One of the things about speed paint is you need to work and keep it wet. Now, it gets sloppy in my opinion, but I'm probably going to be out of this black and have to mix some more here. It's going on so thick. I mean, wet edges, you kind of want that with a standard acrylics as well, so. Is the contrast medium to thin speed paints? Yes. So the contrast medium thins. I mean, you could probably thin speed paints, but it thins the contrast paints, and you use the speed paint medium to thin the speed paint paints. But it doesn't thin it. It just reduces the intensity of the color. You can use water to thin it out a little bit, and I probably should have put a tiny bit of like distilled water in this because it is very thick. But you really get better results if you, okay, I mean, it would work fine, but the way speed paints work and contrast paints work is you put it on wet and kind of heavily and let it settle, and you wick up any kind of heavy pools you have because that ends up looking like stains or, you know, spilled coffee or something. They call it coffee stains. And I like to, after, you know, I've done many. When I first started, I did it exactly as it was recommended. But when I started to actually try to shade things, I'll show you again that one miniature somewhere over here in a moment, where I worked on the like the tabard of this forest creature, and I wanted it to look, to shift and shade, right? Like a wet blend. And that was literally the first miniature I painted with contrast paints, and I did buy the medium, but I didn't really like make the connection. Like, I was disappointed with their flesh color, the Gilman flesh. But once I went to like to see, maybe I missed, like, this is one's so dark, I can't always use it so dark. And then when I went to the store to look to see if they had any other flesh colors in that, like a human style flesh, they didn't, but they have their little display that shows the range of color. And I'm like, oh, wait a second, I'm in boob. I needed to just use the contrast medium. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest stuff. But yeah, it's really essential to keep it so that it's still like the paint, but the color's not as intense. Okay, her hair is, oof, I'm gonna drop it. Her hair is very strong. It's okay. She's got dark hair. I might paint a highlight on it like I've done. So on this one here, I painted some highlights on her hair on top and then put the color on again. So it looks like, you know, her, I mean, it's not necessary. I just was experimenting with them. This is the third Black Widow that I had painted. So I was like, let me see. But where's the one I was talking about? It should be right here. Did I drop it? No, it's over here. So this one I painted it. It was literally just the intensity of the colors and straight on. But when I did this tabard, I started with this color here, and then I used this color here in the middle, and I used this color here on the bottom. This was thinned out with lessened intensity with the contrast medium, and they were all wet, and I just blended them together, and it came out pretty good. And so I was like, oh, okay, I get that, but I didn't, that was me just doing wet blending, right? And I imagine you could probably do a pretty good job, but I wanted it to be start intense and get less intense, and then start intense and get less intense with each of the colors, and then blending them together. There's some hair stuck on there. And it's hilarious to me that I didn't figure that out with the flesh tones though before that, because it is pretty obvious, like, oh, that's how that works. I kind of wanted to paint these as Karen Page. I only have two, so, and one of them isn't mine, so I couldn't do it, but I don't know Jessica Jones, so. I almost crazily bought another set of the stretch goal minis. This is one of the stretch goal minis, and I'm so happy I didn't. I really didn't need them. As much as I mean, variety is what really makes miniature painting fun for me anyway, and I really would like to just work on some other stuff. I have some things that I'm probably going to do here soon on the stream. And I'll still work on these. I want to do them. So they're coming soon. It's weird. They get the meta, what's it called? Multiverse minis come end of this month, beginning of next month, and it's a full month or so before the East Coast gets them. I don't understand all that, but anyway, probably makes it much cheaper to ship it. But I was hoping to be done with the first wave. I don't think I'm going to get there. I'm close with my miniatures, but I have friends that I'm working on, and I don't want to move ahead to the next wave. I've already done some of the X-Men ones, the mutant stuff, but I really want to wait. So I need to finish, and I don't have that many to do, but I still have more to do because I was quite a bit of ways along when I volunteered to paint these. I was like, you might as well send it to me. It's not that hard to do 2 at a time. As I say, I can't guarantee they'll look identical, but they'll be close. Should do a skunk stripe on her. Yeah, it's all the same term 215. These are all contrast paints, and you can see like it's giving some highlights just from settling, and I may do some other little tricks after the fact, but they really are cool. It's so I do use when I in this example here where I had painted some light color underneath, I painted real white acrylic paint underneath there. And then painted the, I and then painted the color back over it. But this one I dry brushed it. So this one was an experiment to do it all with dry brush. I was not happy with the face. That is why this one is kind of thick. Because I felt it was way too dark. She looked like she had 5 o'clock shadow. And so I painted over it and did it. But the hair was dry brushed and it looks fantastic. I did it, dry brushed the black, because I painted, in this case, I painted this black entirely and then dry brushed the highlights on and then put the contrast paints on. These other ones, as I say, I paint them with Zenithal highlight and then put the contrast paint on it. I just have touched this twice now. And you know, there's multiple ways to do it. You don't have to do the Zenithal with an airbrush. That is why I was doing them with dry brush, and it's doable. I like the results, but for example, I wasn't happy with the face, so you could fix it as well without doing what I did, you know, just painting it, but it wasn't as good, for sure. I don't have the first Black Widow that I painted, but she turned out great. Like, that was actually, I think, when I went to the store looking for the flesh tone, and I'm like, oh, because I did like what I did here, where I painted shadows where the darker skin, like the shadows of the hair over her face. I had done that as well on that one. That was like, oh, here's how we do that, and I tried it and it worked great. I haven't done a ton of that with the hair on the face, shadows on the face, but I was like, it can be done. That was really the goal. Now I thinned this out, and I got to tell you, it is dark. So I don't know that I did a good job, not thinning it, you know, reducing the intensity. But I'm also not worried about it. She's got dark hair. I believe it's, gosh, what's her name? Ritter. She has very dark hair. It's not Karen Ritter. I don't know if Deborah was on the Defenders. Oh, no, I think Deborah was on the Defenders. So she's probably met her. Kristen Ritter, I think that's her name. This is so dark under here, I'm just going to put a little bit on because it's not critical. So I'll probably paint a couple of streaks in it, you know, just on the top edges, and then put the black over it later. Cool. Yeah, thanks, Kristen Ritter. I don't remember what. I remember she was on a TV show. Another TV show. I think her jacket is dark enough. It looks like leather tone to me. Her hair looks good. I have a bit of a problem there. Do I have that toothpick still here, or did it fall again? I have another toothpick. I got a tiny bit on her face. And I will just use a little bit of the toothpick, the tiny bit of moisture, and take it off, and it looks pretty good. Now I'm not going to mess with her shirt too much. I'm going to treat it like I did with I keep putting her without her head. When I did this one, Kingpin, I left the paint, the undercoat as it is. I did put a few little lines in the creases, but mostly I just left it as it is. And it looked great. I'm like, I don't want to mess with it. I just put the varnish on over that. That is one thing I'm actually kind of falling behind on. I need to varnish this stuff. But like, I need to be done with her base. Cable, no, there's not Cable, Punisher. I keep calling him Cable. I don't know why I think it's Cable. He's going to be in the X-Men box, I'm sure. I did some of the base, but I will put some color on, metallic color on the shells on the ground. I'm not even sure why he's standing on top of all these shells. Usually he would have shot something that had that. But it looked great. I don't even know why I thought it was Cable, because I mean, I was doing it from memory, and then I pulled the miniature out. I'm like, oh, it's got the Punisher logo on there. But yeah, I haven't varnished that. And I generally use, so when I varnish, I'm using these now, and I use matte and ultra matte usually, and I mix them together. The ultra matte is phenomenal. It is very, very flat, but it's a little too flat. And I believe the mattes are not as durable as like satin or gloss. I know they're not. So if you use a little bit more, if I mix a little bit, like 50-50 of the two, it does a pretty good job. I did paint, I think this is the one. You kind of can't tell, but his coat is ultra matte. And maybe even his head, but I've touched his head so many times it's now, I'm sure, shiny. So, but I loved how flat it looked. You know, it was really, really matte, really awesome. That's one of the first miniatures I painted of this stuff. Well, cool. It is no. I probably should quit. Get ready to call my mom, as I do. I will be back next Tuesday. Let's see here. Let me switch to the other camera. I'll be back. Oops, not there. Have to be in that window. I'll be back next Tuesday. I'm going to paint in the morning, and then we're probably back to doing a game night live. We will be next Thursday, and that should be fun. But hopefully you guys have a great weekend. I'm kind of excited. We don't have any filming this weekend, but we do need to work on our culling games. We have to cull games. So we're now at the point where we have a lot of games still to go on the shelf, and things that we're keeping, we need to choose something the same size that we're going to take off the shelf. I want to get further along than that because that's still too many games to actually do that kind of work, like looking for the right size, but we have to make some decisions. There's definitely stuff we need to take down. I'm looking right now, we have 2 copies of Carcassonne, Myths over Carcassonne, one German and one English. We probably should send off the German one. It has English rules in it, I think. But yeah, that's the kind of thing we have to do. We don't need them all. I mean, there's so many. We have to be realistic. I'm not going to be able to paint all the minis that I have in front of me here. And I don't think we'll ever get to play all the games we have in front of us either. So we've been talking about it. We've been talking about trying to like focus, for example, on a game that we just filmed that we want to play more of. And we just are like, maybe we should just try to get together. It's just very difficult. Aaron is dealing with his father's health right now, and his dad is doing better, but not doing great. And it is looking like he'll be around a little bit longer, which is good. But it's just very difficult. We were saying you basically have to be in college, or young, or married, or with someone, but no kids. And you need to do all this before your family gets older. And then, or appointment gaming. If you set something up where you try to, the problem is not everybody can make it every time, right? We've like told ourselves we'd play those games, and we still don't get to them. It's just very difficult, because we have a campaign. Deborah wants to play some other stuff and so she now has a studio that's near her to her home, and so she comes here all the time, and it's not close. And so we're like, well, we'll come to your place when she has time. She's got some filming that's going to be going on. You probably already know that she's the Daredevil. She's back with Daredevil, and so they filmed that already. Maybe they're doing some reshoots. I don't know, but we haven't talked to her for about a month. But yeah, we try to make it so that we can schedule this stuff when people have availability, and it's tough, you know. As a matter of fact, I need to write to somebody that was on this chat a little bit earlier and schedule her for next week. But yeah, it's challenging. And we have Jackie Fox coming. She has her new game. We haven't decided. She doesn't necessarily want to be in the episode so that we can be honest. But I'm like, well, we're excited about your game. That's how this works. But we had somebody give us some slack about James when he was on with Tidal Blades, the Banner Festival. Like, oh, you guys aren't being honest. I'm like, well, that's not true. First of all, we're not here to like criticize games. So we are picking games that we're excited about. So that's my concern. I don't want people to think that we're being nice because it's Jackie. We're very excited to try the game. We are so happy this is coming. And then Candace has a similar type of themed game, not type of game, coming next year from Academy, and we'll definitely want to feature that on the show. So that's my only concern. I don't want anybody to give Jackie any slack, because I'm sure her game's going to be pretty darn fun. I don't think a publisher would pick it up. She's not self-publishing, so I think that's legit. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. When is Game Night with you and Nick? I get Game Night alerts, but every time I click through, it's not you. It's called Game Night, but it's other gamers. What are you talking about, Stacy? We're in every episode of Game Night. If you check it out on our channel, today's episode was Skyrise. That's Dave, James, me, and Nikki. Nikki's been in every episode. Nikki's in every Game Night episode. I'm in a few earlier ones, not in them. But I'm wondering what the heck you're getting. Maybe you're just getting YouTube stuff. But it says it's called Game Night. So Game Night spelled as camel hump, one word with an exclamation mark. But go to BoardGameGeek.com. Go to BoardGameGeek TV or BoardGameGeek.com. If you go to the front page, the Explore page, our latest episode's always linked there. But yeah, that's strange. I wonder what you're getting. That's very odd. Hey David, how you doing? I'm sorry I didn't see this until COVID, and once that happened, nothing was the same. Yeah, it's terrible. We absolutely that is truly what changed everything. A lot of people, we all aged. That was a strange amount of time to be, not together. And had we understood what was going on, we would have done a bubble. Deborah and Dave, Dave wasn't here, but Aaron and Deborah were not hanging out with people. Now, Deborah was doing filming still, but they really tested on set. So we would have totally tried to just keep the bubble, but we did Game Night, Date Night. We do have Game Night, Date Night coming back. That will be when season 12 debuts. Game Night, Date Night, which will be a Tuesday show, will debut as well. And we're going to mostly be every week, but we have the solo mode from Jamie from Foster the Meeple. Her show will also be in that. So at least at this point in time, we're going to be 3 weeks and 1 week of Jamie. And then we have another show that's coming with Derek and Candace, hopefully. That one's not as long as ours. Now, ours is just a continuation of what we did during the pandemic when we ran out of episodes, because we had been fortunate. We had many episodes filmed before the pandemic hit. We were actually planning on doing another show with Deborah at that time, and we were preparing for that, and just to be ahead of the game, and all of that went to the wayside. So, but yeah, it's I don't know, it's very weird, and it's challenging. I hope you find them, Stacy. Is there a link to our Game Night schedule? We don't actually have a schedule, but every Thursday, a standard Game Night comes out. We've only missed one. Well, we used to do bi-weekly, so every other week. But then in 2019, we went to full-time schedule, and we do it 52 weeks a year. But we missed one in March. We had a problem with the game, and so we took it down. And we didn't have anything in the queue to take its place because we were not in town. Normally, I would just quickly get the episode ready. We generally have them edited but not finished. And I didn't have time to finish it before that. So I felt terrible. I was very unhappy that we didn't have an episode that week. So a couple weeks back, we did 2 episodes at once. And that was to make up for the previous one. But we also like to do some of the shorter games as double episodes. We just haven't played that many shorter games. But anyway, it's not game night, but she'll be doing her solo mode, yes. So it'll be 1 out of the 3 right now. 1 out of the 4 right now, and then it might get down to 1 from each of them, 1 from Derek and 1 from and Candace and 1 from Jamie, and then 2 of them from Nikki and I, which will be good because Nikki's actually editing those. She has never done. She's done After Effects. She does our animation, but she's never done editing. So she edited the first 2 of the episodes we got so far. We have a 3rd one. We want to try to be ahead of the game, although we're kind of running out of time. So that we don't have to work so hard. Like it's hard on Nikki. She's got a lot to do already, and so for her to work on that and the other stuff. And I finalize every episode, so I put all the graphic elements and stuff together. They just Derek and Nikki are editing the raw footage, and then I finish them up. But we just want to try to be so that we're not really totally swamped, and because we're already pretty busy, and we'd like to try to ease back a little bit so we're not so worn out. But yeah, Thursdays. So this week's episode is Skyrise, and if you go to the YouTube channel, it should be you know what? It's not. Well, it depends if you're logged in. Actually, there's 2. So I usually change if you go to the Board Game Geek TV or Board Game Geek page on YouTube. It's also like the featured video for each week. I did not change this week's. Last week's is still up there for the same game. Also, if you didn't watch the same game, you should watch that. That's a great game. It's really fun, and not a lot of people watch that episode, and it is truly fun and funny, and you should check it out. It's a Wolfgang Warsch game and really good. Anyway, okay, everybody, take care and have a good weekend, and hopefully I will see you all again next week. I know Tuesday mornings is tough, but if not, hopefully we'll see you guys Thursday. Take care, everybody. Okay, let's see here. We're going to end the stream for Twitch. Take care. Oh, wait, let's see if we can raid. I'm jumping the gun. Let's see if we can raid. There might be somebody there. Oi. Sorry, I was wrapping it all up. Actually, that's the one thing I love about Twitch, is the raids. Hey. Bonds is playing, they've been going for a while. They're playing Everdell. We're going to try raiding them. Okay, everybody, take care. Sorry, YouTube people, you can't join in. It's something that they don't do, which I wish they did do. And have fun. I don't know if they're wrapping up Everdell here. Okay, bye, everybody. And thanks to you, YouTube people. Have a great one. If I can get the software back up. There we go. And I'm gonna